I met a traveler from an antique land, who said 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert, near them on the sand. Half sunk a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. This is a poem by Romanticist Percy Shelley called Ozymandias. It's a famous sonnet about the fleetingness of power and legacy and the inevitable ravages of time. Shadow of the Colossus is a video game created by Team Ico and first released in 2005. A colossus can be defined as a statue of gigantic size and proportions, and well, just take a look at these. In the game, you play as a young man known as Wander, who begins the seemingly impossible task of finding and slaying 16 colossi, in the desperate hopes of resurrecting a sacrificed girl named Mono. He is warned that in doing this, the price he pays may be heavy indeed. Wander's reply is simple: it doesn't matter. And from there, the premise of the gameplay is very simple. You seek out a colossus, learn how to exploit each one's distinct behavior, form, and environment to take them down. After each dies, it is covered in a layer of shadow, and several black tendrils emerge from its body and embed themselves into Wander, rendering him unconscious. Each time this happens, he is returned to the shrine at the start of the game by unknown means, with the number of shadow creatures equal to the number of slain colossi standing around him. Rinse and repeat, with Wander's physical appearance progressively deteriorating. Once the final colossus is slain, the darkness finally overtakes Wander and tries to escape, only to be hastily cast out of his body and sealed away by Iman, a shaman. Wander is sucked into the vortex of water of a shallow pool at the back of the shrine, and with their work being done, Iman and his accompanying men depart. We then see that the girl Mono wakes up, having been resurrected after all. Wander's injured horse Agro limps into the shrine, having miraculously survived a serious fall earlier on in the game, and the two approach the now still shallow pool. Inside lays an infant boy with horns on his head. Mono picks up the baby, and together they all begin following a path leading upwards. At the path's end, they find a garden with some doves, a squirrel, a fawn, as well as fruit trees. Then the game draws to a close. Enter Ozymandias, spelled Ozzymandis, a fellow wanderer and enraptured by the game. After finishing Shadow of the Colossus, he was left feeling such awe, but also an aching sense of finality. He had a burning question: is there more? He became fascinated by places that served no obvious mechanical purpose, unreachable rooftops, distant cliffs, and pursued them with a mix of curiosity, patience, and quiet, enduring hope. His most famous effort involved repeatedly leaping from a remote cliff top to grab at passing seagulls in the belief they might carry him somewhere hidden. Even when theories failed and grand revelations never came, Ozymandias never framed the search as a loss. His efforts were earnest, imaginative, and fully aware that the journey might end in nothing at all. But he found others that believed, other secret seekers. They communicated on forums, trading different theories and observations. A user going by Ascadia laid out what he called the theory of intersecting points. At the start of the game, there's a line about the world being formed by the resonance of intersecting points. Okay, let's go from that. He identified 4 mysterious glyphs in the central shrine, plots them onto the world map, draws lines between them, and when the lines intersect, boom, one specific location in the Forbidden Lands. That's it. Ascadia concluded that the game was pointing players towards the lair of the 11th Colossus and a mysterious bricked-up door. Behind this door, the last big secret would be found. Many attempts to open this door were made, but none ever succeeded. Eventually, the theory of intersecting points fell away, but still the quest and the passion continued. Theories kept spinning. Has anyone tried doing everything again on their 16th playthrough? After all, there are 16 colossi. Hundreds of pages on the forum. Eventually, over 560 pages long. Someone literally printed it, bound it, like scripture. And at this point, it's not just theory anymore. It's community. Because here's the thing. Shadow of the Colossus feels like a game with secrets. Why build miles and miles of beautifully detailed land and then barely make the player see half of it? Why give us a secret garden that requires insane stamina to reach? Because, surprise, you could in fact reach it with a lot of effort. where the fruit hurts you instead of helping? Why let us see land beyond the map and then literally blow us back with the wind? Then there's time attack mode. You beat the game, you replay every Colossus under strict time limits, you do everything right, and you're rewarded with items. Some make sense, maps, masks, others are weird. Bomb arrows, a parachute, a sword that reflects sunlight even in darkness. The Queen's Sword, a direct reference to Ico, the developer's previous fan-favorite title. And for players who had proven that they could defeat every Colossus perfectly, here, you kill things slightly better. That felt wrong. Not greedy wrong, emotionally wrong. Like the game was building towards something. Eventually, of course, skeptics show up. They start saying, hey, maybe there is no secret. And the response? Intense. One user writes, and this is real, if you aren't a believer, don't come to the thread. It's like a church. And yeah, that's kind of funny, but also kind of beautifully self-aware. Because the secret seekers weren't stupid. They were hopeful. They wanted the world they loved so much to still have something unexplained in it. To still have something magical, something meaningful, there, just waiting to be found. They wanted to believe. Then, in 2008, a new user appears, Pikel. He posts a video. He's standing in places no player should ever reach, clipping through walls, walking through solid rock, breaking the game wide open. It's clear that he's emulating the game and taking advantage of glitching. And suddenly, the truth is unavoidable. There is no 17th Colossus, nothing behind the door, no final hidden boss. But here's why this story becomes something I genuinely love. Because instead of quitting, the community pivots. Pikel, another prominent user called Nomad Colossus, and others start mapping everything. Unused dams, hidden plateaus, cut content, geography that no one was ever meant to see. They become historians for a sprawling digital world. And when the PS4 remake comes out down the line, the developers literally use Nomad's painstakingly thorough footage for reference. They even thank him in the credits, which is a really nice touch. Fans preserved the world that they cherished so much and allowed it to live again on a different console. So what was the last great secret? The result of Ozymandias' quest? It turns out it wasn't a super hard to reach area or a 17th Colossus. It was proof that people will show up passionately for a world that they care about, even when it doesn't give them all the answers. Many who played Shadow of the Colossus were so moved by their experience with the game that they didn't want it to end. They kept caring about the world, its lore, and its characters way after the end credits, and they continued to explore, catalog, and preserve. That's incredible. Eurogamer did an article about the Secret Seekers back in 2013. In it, the author Craig Owen speaks with Ozymandias and Nomad. Here's an excerpt. Quote, but does it bother the Secret Seekers that they never found what they were looking for? Nomad is philosophical about the quest he was once a part of. It was the search that was the thing, he tells me. I like to say it's like a Rorschach test. People imprint whatever hopes and beliefs they have onto the vast empty landscapes and see secrets that aren't there. They just hope they are. Ozymandias, meanwhile, looks back fondly on his cliff-jumping days and admits that he always knew a big find was unlikely. Though, then again, this is the note we end on. You know what's going to happen when you publish this, Craig? He tells me. It's going to inspire people to search, and one of those people is going to find the last big secret of Shadow of the Colossus. Sometimes the reward isn't more content. Sometimes the reward is realizing you weren't alone in caring. And honestly, that's not that much, but also, it's kind of everything. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty. And hope. Anyways, thanks for listening to one of my tales from the internet, and as always, thanks so much for being a part of this little ecosystem.